Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The three wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and a terrific go out. Ben Gregory now, I love it. 16.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to Season 2 of the Chaz Draycott Media Boremula 1 World Championship. We have a new title sponsor for the series. We have a new name for the series because this season it is the Chaz Draycott Media Boremula 1 World Championship by F1Countdown.com. Thanks very much to F1Countdown.com for being the sponsor this year, and I cannot wait to get the brand name wrong over the course of the season. We're also sponsored this season by Sim Racing Magazine. Always very, very grateful for the support that Sim Racing Magazine, Andy Marston, gives the championship and all the work that I do in sim racing. He is a real star. My name is Chaz Draycott, and I'm delighted to have a co-commentator with me this season that I've worked on many different forms of racing, open wheel being one of them before, and he's a driver from last season as well, so plenty of experience already from the grid. Brings Ed May into the commentary box for pre-season testing and beyond. Ed, great to have you here, mate. It's going to be one hell of a season and a lot more of a compacted calendar than we had in 2022. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Pity we couldn't get anyone quicker in the comms booth than these machineries. The highlights from last season for me was a front row start at the first round, and then it was all downhill from there. But I tell you what, these cars are absolutely amazing to drive. And even though we're not going to be seeing proper wheel-to-wheel racing here, it is essentially the pre-qualifying session. It's still great to see the drivers properly attacking the corners in these little wee beasties, I call them.
Indeed, they are absolute pocket rockets, aren't they? We're here at the Hungaro Ring for the first session of the evening. The second one will take place at Hockenheim, and then the third will be at Imola. That is because these are three circuits that will not be used throughout the championship. We had a 13-round season last year, which started in February and ended in November. But this time round, we're going to be having just 10 rounds, and they're going to be weekly with a break in the middle as well. Last season, it did tail off towards the end because having 3 weeks between every round did actually mean that people were just genuinely forgetting when they were on, and it was a little bit too much to ask of people to be that committed throughout the entire year. So we've got a lovely 10-week calendar coming up for you, but the first 3 sessions will be here tonight. And basically what the drivers are doing right now is setting lap times just in practice at the moment and getting used to the cars again, getting reacquainted with them. But what they're going to be doing over the lone qualifying sessions that you'll be seeing very, very soon is going to count towards what cars these drivers will be driving throughout the championship. For those of you that don't know, I preset the liveries in the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship, so the drivers have a team and a car reflective similar to those performances that you would have seen in the year that we're replicating, which is 1998. So looking briefly, the top 4 drivers, for example, from pre-season testing across all 3 sessions, will get either a McLaren or a Ferrari, because Mika Hakkinen won the 1998 Formula 1 World Championship. Sorry, but there are spoilers. Michael Schumacher finished second ahead of David Coulthard and then Eddie Irvine. So first, second, third and fourth would be McLaren, Ferrari, and then it carries on all the way down the order from there. As Simon Price has a little bit of a loop there at turn 1. We've got some lovely liveries out there already tonight, though, Ed, haven't we? Some drivers here in Benettons. I think it's Gilles Gardner in an old Ferrari as well from the late 80s, early 90s. And it's just great to see these multicoloured machines out on track. But, of course, these are not the liveries they'll be running through the full season.
No, not at all. We are obviously doing, like you mentioned, the same format from last season, where basically as the drivers, what their average time is, essentially organised from, I think, is it average time or is it the average position?
You score points for every session, basically. But yeah, it's almost like average position, yeah.
Essentially, so from there, that basically corresponds to the finishing order from the 98 season, Formula 1, of course. But I'll tell you what, it's been great to see so many drivers already eager to get involved. We've got plenty turning out here tonight. And like you say, there are some really nice liveries, though unfortunately, not many of them have loaded for me. My prehistoric internet is chugging along and sadly struggling to load it all just in time.
We've got a couple of drivers in this McLaren livery actually tonight, which is Tom Minot and also Ben Hoffman. And I think, without sounding too big-headed, it sort of makes me glad to see that I've given a bit more proportion to the liveries that I'm going to be running on the cars this year, or this season, I should say. But still, we've got a decent turnout, 16 drivers of the 22 at the moment. And
I thought you were going to be saying that it was a little optimistic to be running the McLaren livery there.
Well, you never know. You never know. Tom's been pretty quick, actually, in the few little media sessions that we've done before this. But he's now out there in 13th place at the moment. We've just had the 17th driver join the session, which is reigning champion Cam Dance, and he is going to be running the number 1 on his car this season. Up there at the top is Silas Crag Vrolik. He's only 23 thousandths ahead of Jake Cranstone, and you can expect to see those sorts of gaps this season. Other returning drivers are Toby Ward, which, well, he's driving a car which is just a massive picture of my face for this evening, which is spread across the entire machine very, very elegantly.
Nice wheels.
Yeah, indeed, and Toby has to, Toby has to have pink wheels because he was winding me up about it all last season. We've got Martin Kenyon back with us, and I don't think we've got many other return drivers, to be honest with you. I think, looking at the initial entries, we've got Martin Kenyon, Silas Kradvrolik, Rob Lundgren, Pete Harrod, and then we have John Roberts. Was John in the championship last season? I think didn't he do one?
I think John Roberts was in the championship last season.
I think he did the last round.
I know there was a lot of the boosted contingent
racing
that championship, which was actually the drivers that then recruited me into their little inner circle, and I've raced with them a few times afterwards. So it's good to see them still out in force, going strong.
Just had a comment coming from Sir MPH, one of the Circuit Superstars, who I was on stream with not even a month ago, actually. We're doing the first of the CDM special events on Circuit Superstars, and we actually have a couple of guys joining from that contingent as well. Some of these guys, Nico Minardi, Ben Chalcraft and Mike Murphy, all some of the fastest guys in the world on the amazing top-down racing game Circuit Superstars, and they've gotten involved in iRacing and getting sim rigs, and one of their main aims has been to get into Boremula 1, so it's been lovely to see the support from the championship. Nico Minardi is the man behind F1Countdown.com, the title sponsor as well, and it's great to see, I must admit. This livery that he's running now is basically the exact same livery that he runs in the game Circuit Superstars, where the cars are all really small, caricature machines, much like these Pro Mazdas which we're using this season. It's great to have Nico in the championship. Let's go on board with championship stalwart Toby Ward. You can see my horribly yellow teeth on the nose of this car, and let's have a look at a lap of the Hungaro ring. We're running the medium downforce setup this season, which we ran towards the end of last season. It means that the slipstream effect is reduced only slightly. You can see turn 1, you've got to be so gentle, and that's really the key word with this car. You cannot throw it in too hard. It has this horrible 4-wheel slide that it goes through, in most corners if you oversteer it. It wants to kill you on downshifts, it wants to kill you on the brakes, and you can see there even from Toby having to correct it slightly around such a gentle corner like turn 2. Don't go anywhere near the curb on the right hand side, and it's a shame they still haven't fixed the dashboard on this car, so it constantly says you're in 6th gear and it's just basically an image rather than an actual interactive graphic. But we're into the last 30 seconds of practice now, so this lap isn't going to mean a massive amount, because any moment now he's going to be done, basically. And we're using a heat racing format tonight, which means that the session will tick straight over. So we'll jump away from Toby's car as he makes his way around the rest of the lap. Well, I'm excited to see what's what now here, actually, Ed, because this is, this is go time. Because some of those laps, let's not forget, throughout this session so far, could have been set with an incident point to hand as well, which means it wouldn't have been valid.
Yeah, or with a bit of slipstream as well, because as we take over into qualifying, it will essentially be the drivers all by themselves trying to set the time. It's just them and the stop clock, and that's going to be really intriguing to see what happens there. But Cam, that's arriving late into the session, reigning champion with the number 1 to his name, doing what I like to call the Simon Povey strat, which was something that he always tended to do in the SRM GT4 challenge, which was turn up right at the end. You think, as you're getting into practice, you're thinking, oh, he's not here. This could be good for me. I might be able to actually win something. And then all of a sudden, turns up in the last 5 minutes of practice to demoralise you just by his very existence, because you know, right, well, there goes any chance of winning.
Yeah, that's it. Cam Dance, of course, last season, an absolute superstar. Won, I think, the first 6 races on the trot as well. Oh, dearie me. Sam Bentham has a big old wobble. Sam was very quick at the end of the season, actually. Jumped in to drive the Prost in the last round at Suzuka. We had an influx of drivers jump in for the final round, which was great to see. And Sam was one of them, and him and his teammate Tim Perry, when driving for Prost, Mugen Honda, were actually leading the race 1-2 at Suzuka. That's how easy it is to overdo it here in these cars. That's what I mean. On the downshift, it can be nightmarish. As you see there, though, Ed, we are in lone qualifying, so the drivers are all on the track on their own. No slipstream effect from anybody else, because last season, admittedly, I was a bit naive and ran a open qualifying session. But then again, I don't think many people took that much advantage of it, did they?
No, it didn't really upset the... I haven't got too much. People were sort of generally in the right areas at the beginning of the season, then obviously people adapted to the car. Some got a little bit quicker, others got left behind. And I think we did obviously change it around a little bit later on with new arrivals to the championship as well. It's good to see that, like you said, drivers didn't take too much advantage of it and get put in the wrong positions. And you can see Kevin Zemstra running in the Ferrari livery used last season.
He's not
maybe
on my
to
end.
be up the order. Oh, not on your end. Oh, okay, well, for my end, he is. At least, well, that brings us on to what he was in last season, which was, of course, the Ferrari of... which one it was now? Was it the Michael Schumacher Ferrari? I think he was supposed to be. And I think he qualified in 2nd place in pre-qualifying. That was obviously, in real life, of course, Michael Schumacher disqualified from the 97 season following the incident with Villeneuve at the final round. But we basically figured out that it'd be weird to have someone who went through pre-qualifying and came last to be in the Ferrari when all season long that car was way up at the sharp end of many races that season. So basically said, no, he was in 2nd place, and it was obviously piloted by Kevin Zemstra last season, and potentially we might be seeing a repeat because he's been looking very quick in this practice session. Could be way up there, or maybe even in the championship-winning McLaren of, how was the name? Mika Hakkinen. The name suddenly escaped me.
Right, don't offend me, because Mika is like my favourite Formula 1 driver.
I love him.
Time. He's amazing. What else is amazing is Simon Price's livery on this car. I'm pretty sure that he's got some sort of dog food brand or something on the side of this car. Not quite sure exactly what it says, actually, but I know on the rear wing it says "Rest in peace, Lola," because he wanted to, I think, drive the Lola for last season. Of course, Lola did not make it into the 1998 season, or really half of the 1997 season, so did not move on from that. But he's also got some form of dog food on the side of the car. I'm not quite sure what it is. There's definitely, I think it might be, is it like Lola branded dog food or something along those lines? I'm not sure. The first time is coming through now, or the first times which is Kevin Zemstra with a 141.444, and he's currently 1.2 seconds clear of Mike Murphy at the moment, and Sam Bentham is third, only a couple of thousandths back. Then Stuart Clark, another newcomer to the championship. I've been commentating on Stuart in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Series, and he's been racing in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Series as well. A couple of drivers making their way over from that. Cam Dance still not going anywhere yet. He's still sat in the pit lane. That looked like a potential moment for Stuart Clark there, didn't it? Certainly looked like it was... Oh no, somehow he did not have a spin. But I saw a moment before by... a comment by Sir MPH before on Twitch, actually. He said that, I've heard that this Nico Ferrari guy is new to this type of racing. Obviously meaning Nico Minardi. We have all hinted at the fact that it would be wrong for Nico not to end up in a Minardi this season, but his initial pace and commitment has shown that it might not be the case, actually, might it, Ed?
Yeah, it may be Nico Williams or something similar to that later on. It's very, very quick indeed, but we'll have to find out what it will be later on, of course, as we go with Nico Minardi. Lovely little angles we get here on the machine. You can really see the suspension working away here. Lovely work that iRacing do to render every minute detail of the movement of the cars and translating it expertly just for us to watch along. The cars don't sort of slide along like we get in other sims. They pretty much are doing exactly what the drivers are seeing. You can see the steering wheel that's having to be put on there just to get it to rotate, but not over-rotate, then into the final corner. Difficult to pick your apex on there because it's such a long right-hander onto the power as well. This is probably only the first sighting lap for Nico Minardi, which puts him up into 6th position. So a good, respectable opening lap there.
I feel like a massive moron because apparently Lola was Simon's dog. So I've just dug myself in a humongous hole, and I really apologise, Simon. Unless John Tusting is winding me up and he's joking. But I'm not sure. John Tusting, by the way, is signed up for this season, and John will be with us throughout the championship, but unfortunately has a shoulder injury which he's waiting for an operation on. But John has been allowed to sign up for the season because he was such a great supporter of it last season, and a really great bloke to have around on the grid as well. And even if he can't get through pre-season testing in time, he will take up the bottom spot on the grid, which would have been one of the Prosts, actually. And to be fair, no disrespect to John, but his pace was around the sort of midfield where Prost would have been in 1998. So, it reflects quite nicely anyway, and it does seem a bit weird that a Prost was right at the bottom of the pile when it came to the end of 1998, because it was not a terrible car either, to be fair. Silas Craig Frolic has not put a time on the board yet. I remember seeing this awful blue and orange car at Alton Park during last season's pre-season testing. Of course, we had Alton Park, Brands Hatch and Donington Park for the 3 pre-season tests last time. And it was, certainly a different kettle of fish to what we've got this time around. But these 3 different European circuits are going to be a big challenge, aren't they, Ed?
Yeah, they really are. And I mean, here at the Hungaroring, it's so technical, so twisty. There's so many corners that really don't suit this car. You get through the twisty areas, the slow acceleration zones, which this car really does not like because it has the nasty habit of just trying to over-rotate on the power and over-rotate, like you mentioned earlier, as you try to get the initial turn into the corner. The brakes aren't too bad on this car. It takes a decent effort to get them to lock up when they're up to temperature, so they are quite nice, and you can brake relatively late in them, but in terms of actually turning while there's any sort of brake inputs on, forget about it. It's just so tail happy, and you do essentially need to drive it a bit like a go-kart, sliding it around through the corners, get the rear end slightly stepping up but not too much, and carry that momentum through the corners.
Yeah, absolutely. You've really got to balance this car and be so careful with it. As across the line goes Silas Craig Frolic, and no time coming through for him there. Jake Cranstone has gone fastest, by the way. He's right up there at the top, and here is your reigning champion, Cam Dance, making his way around the circuit. I'm not quite sure what livery that is, but certainly looks an interesting one for sure. See if we can catch... just trying to see what logos are on it and see whether we can get a better view of it, but the camera's unfortunately here quite far away at Hungaroring. I have changed them to be a little bit more zoomed in. It's looks like it says Team Pelfrey on it or something like that. Looks quite funky either way, but he's running the number 1 this season as the reigning champion. And Cam will be hoping to repeat his success of last season. He almost had won the championship by the halfway point, basically. I think there was 3 rounds to go when he won the title after a very dramatic Italian Boar Prix at Monza. But it's nice and close in the top couple of positions at the moment. Cranstone with a 1:41.031, only 2 and a bit tenths ahead of Zemstra. Then Mike Murphy up there in 3rd place, ahead of Sam Bentham, Stuart Clark going well as well. It's even close further down, you know, even John Roberts and Gilles Gardner in 13th and 14th places. They are only a couple of tenths apart. Sam Fitzpatrick has now joined the session as well. Great to see Sam jumping in. He's been very eager to jump on board with this as Sam. And he's now going to be setting his first times, although it looks like Cam has gone back into the pits and not done anything else from there. We're still waiting for a few drivers, though, Ed, that haven't set times yet. Tom Minor and Silas Craig Vrolik haven't done valid lap times just yet, have they? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, unfortunately. Oh, here we go. As you just see the times start to come through now, but actually having a little look, there's a moment there for Tom just going through the second to last corner. He's going on for a personal best, few efforts there as well coming through for his first lap, but this is going to I think invalidate, because if it comes through as a loss of control, that does somewhat count as an incident, but it seemed to have just been regained in time to prevent iRacing from kicking in. However, it did put him the slowest driver to set a time currently, but of course with that moment, fairly certain that he's got room to improve on.
Yeah, definitely. There's always room for improvement in these cars. They are so tough to get right. But I know that these drivers will be determined in making sure that they put every ounce of their talent into this. It's going to be interesting to see how it shapes up, though, because obviously at this point we have no idea on who is going to be quick and who's not. And the thing is, it's not a car that we see these drivers driving a lot either. You know, this is a car that rarely gets used now on iRacing. It is effectively a legacy car, so they don't sort of offer up as much support for it. But it's just a lovely little machine. This Japanese 1.3 litre rotary engine car makes a great racket, but the reason we use it is because it looks the most like an old Formula 1 car in terms of its caricature nature, but the slipstreaming and the racing it provides as well is insane, isn't it, Ed?
It does give us some absolutely corking battles up and down the field as well. Let's not forget there were some brilliant races. I mean, the one at Spa last season lives very fond memory. I mean, there was just so much slipstreaming of that round. It was absolute carnage in Bedlam, but to be fair, it was wonderful as well to, of course, watch and then also be a part of. Like you say, it's going to be interesting to see how they'll all adapt now to a slightly different setup, running the medium downforce rather than the high, and could result in certain drivers from last season maybe not being able to adapt as well as some of the newcomers.
Yeah, that's it. I suppose it's one of those cars where you never know quite how quick you would be in it, and it's down to being put on a level playing field where you can show each other how fast you are in them. You know, it's what this series aims to do, and it gives a little bit more daylight to a car that we don't see that much. Oh, Sam Fitzpatrick in the classic here. He's in the Brawn livery. It's a little bit more green than it should have been, but that's me just being picky. But I've seen a number of people run that livery before, actually, way back when as well. The old Brawn livery. And Sam, I'm sure, is going to be full of memes this season. Sam's a very funny boy, to be honest, and we've worked together recently quite a lot on the Apex Racing TV YouTube channel, on the Apex Racing League Prototype Championship. Season 5 is still underway. We're actually going to be commentating on it again together tomorrow, which I look forward to. But still, a nice packed field already. 18 of the 22 drivers here tonight, and the other 4 will be able to do a different session, basically, that will not be broadcasted. We just wanted to try and get everybody together on the night because it's easier that way. But we know that people's schedules and other things, they can come first, and we always say that, don't we, at this point, Ed?
Mm-hmm.
You know, sim racing, it's not always the exact priority. Real life comes first.
Exactly, yeah. It's good to see that, obviously, like you mentioned, a huge contingent of drivers out in force tonight, and it's going to be a matter of thinking, what are we going to be seeing from the very top level? Because we've got Silas Craig Vrolik currently fastest of the bunch, the tune of nearly a quarter of a second quicker than Jake Cranston, which is pretty fearsome, to be fair, and sets down a good benchmark for the rest of the drivers to chase down. Obviously, We have got 16 minutes remaining. Look at this. Look at the amount of little minute movements that have to be made on the car just to get it to turn in, to balance it as well. It's right on the ragged edge, this thing, to get the speed. And you always have to be on the very brink of losing control. You can feel the rear end start to slip away, and that's when you know that you've got a corner really nailed down. You're carrying the maximum amount of pace that you can, because again, through here, you can just start to hear the rear tyres giving way. It shows that he's entered at pretty much the exact perfect speed and powering out of the corner. What we're going to see from Jake Cranston as he comes up to the line, a personal best in sector 2. But as he crossed the line, there is seemingly an incident point somewhere, because he doesn't improve. Oh, he does improve, actually, sorry, on his time, but not on his position. 2/10 the gap between first to second.
Yeah, nice and close at the moment. And that's exactly what we want, because, well, we've seen many a time during the first season that there was thousandths of a second in it. I mean, look at the first race of the season. I think pole position was separated by about 1,000th of a second, and then the race was separated by none at the end. Spoilers, sorry.
I think it was 2,000ths at the end.
Oh yeah,
there, and I do remember it fondly, because I was the one who just missed out on pole position, and yeah, got a nosebleed, and I think passed out for pretty much the rest of the season. At least judging by my performances.
Well, it was an amazing season opener, and it certainly showed us what an incredible beast we had created. And I tell you what, I'm excited to get another season of this underway. Don't forget, the liveries will be on show from the first round onwards. This entire thing tonight is all about setting what team and livery people are going to be running for the season ahead. So there's not going to be anything set in stone here in terms of people running these liveries and working in teams together yet. There might be a bit of a reveal stream as well to show everybody who they're going to be racing with and what the lineups will be. So keep your eye out for that as well. There may just be images or whatever. It depends on the time that I get away to be able to work on that and do a stream. But I'll try to do one like we did last time out, where we announced to the drivers and to all the public as well watching at home. Hello, everybody. That, you know, the drivers will be in said teams and lined up with whoever. Cam Dance has gone 9th fastest at the moment. It's not normal that we see a number bigger than sort of 4 next to Cam's name, to be fair. He was so quick last season. Unbelievable.
Stuart Clark's improved up to 5th as well. That's a really good effort from the number 4 driver. I say you've seen him do some great battles, some great racing in the SRM GT4 series, and looking forward to seeing what he can do. Ooh, behind the wheel of these little Formula Mazdas, but getting just a little bit out of shape. And what was a very minor incident suddenly became something massive. That's the thing with these little cars. It's one little moment can just somehow spiral into something even worse. Like, you just get something across a little bit, then tries to overcorrect. The car grips up on the left-hand side while the right-hand wheel's onto the grass, and that sort of disconnect sends him spearing into the arm coat and back into the pits.
Yeah, it's not nice, is it, when that moment happens, but it can happen so quickly. Typically, me there seeing that replay splash screen has reminded me that I've not updated said splash screen for the replays. So we'll get to that. I'll figure this out. Well, that'll be done in just a moment. You may see the overlay just disappear and then reappear again. Ready? No? It's not going to do it now. No, doesn't need to.
Here we go. Mike Murphy on what looks to be the ending of a lap here. So you can see the Circuit Superstars logo on the side of his car. You know, wonder if that's going to be able to translate into the sim, and it's seemingly doing an alright job of it as he goes and continues to remain 5th fastest as Cam Dance now goes up into 4th. So that's more like it from Cam there. Back up to pace a little bit, dusting off the cobwebs and inside the top 5, but you're going to have to start to think he's going to probably be challenging Craig Frolick for that number 1 spot soon.
Yeah, definitely is. He's going to be pushing on and on, isn't he? But Silas will be really chuffed with being up at the top that much. I think Sam Bentham as well will be definitely pushing harder. Sam was right up there at the top of the pile. He was great in the Chaz Draycott Media Formula Renault 3.5 Championship as well, was Sam. He's very fast. Certainly knows his open wheelers very well. Just trying to find, sorry, a different colour for the personal best sectors, because for some reason it's changed what colour it was on me. So I'm just trying to figure that out, because the difference between the yellow and the green is minimal. Although Silas now is on a purple middle sector here. He's not improved in the first sector though, so I don't think it's going to be enough to balance out looking at the sectors. We'll have to wait and see as he comes around the final corner now. Gets hard onto the power. Has to guide the car around oh so gently, oh so gracefully across the line. It's no improvement in the last sector, and it's no improvement at all, really. So, unfortunately for him, it was 10 seconds off, so I think he had a drama somewhere.
I think he let off a lot in the third sector there with a 34-second sector when everyone else was doing around about 25s. So, by the looks of things, it was a little bit of a backing off, maybe to get the heat out of the tyres to push again, which he's certainly doing now. And Chalcroft there, number 8 in the 11th place, is certainly going for a quick time now. Personal bests in the first and second sector. It's going to be coming through the final sector now. You're going to be starting to wonder where he will find himself, because it looks like a very quick lap from Ben, the newcomer to this series.
Yeah, indeed. Around the final corner he goes. No improvements there from Tim Perry. John Roberts also on a multiple improvement as Chalcroft crosses the line as a 141.822. But he's still a second off the fastest time. Roberts
closes the gap down to Bentham. Very close between the two of them there.
Roberts improves with a 143.501. He jumps up the order slightly. Cranstone and Minardi not setting better laps there. Kevin Zemstra now also about to cross the line. Still 9 minutes of this left to go as, Kevin's got to pay to get back in before he goes down the start-finish straight. And again, look, Sam Bentham now on the way to an improvement here. So they are coming in. I don't know why I didn't click the qualifying graphics earlier on, but still it keeps it interesting for us and everybody at home to see how the drivers are getting on each lap, because this is really important to see what they're going to be set up for the rest of the season.
Yeah, here we go. Look at that. Up into 5th place goes Sam Bentham. Very nice effort indeed. That's a really quick time. Not far off of the likes of Zemstra and Cam Dance, which is good company to be in. And to be fair, you have to imagine that those drivers will be chopping and changing through the positions tonight across all of the circuits that we are going to. Of course, Hockenheim and the amazing Imola circuit to come. One of my absolute favourites, and I'm really looking forward to seeing these cars rising it around there, because that's such a fast flowing circuit that is really going to test the driver's ability to keep the cars contained at high speed.
And that's the thing, you know. There's a lot of very different circuits that we're going to tonight, and it needed to be a couple of tracks that are very different to each other. You know, we've got Hungaroring, which is a nightmare to set a car up around. Obviously, we're on a fixed setup this season, so the drivers don't have to worry about that, but it's got a bit of everything here. Hockenheim, very high-speed circuit. There's a lot of commitment needed there. We saw a lot of drivers struggling there last season. But also Imola, another high-speed circuit, but it's all about accuracy at Imola because of the curbs, because of the chicanes. There's going to be a lot more asked of the drivers at that round. So I think it's going to be quite exciting to see who sort of falls by the wayside there, because it's going to be easy to do, I reckon.
Imola is, like, I think, the perfect circuit for something like this, because it's got a little bit of everything. It's got fast chicanes, it's got slow chicanes, it's got hairpins as well at Tosa, it's got elevation change going down through Aqua Minerale, and then the final 2 corners as well. That braking zone for the second to last corner, so difficult, because you're trying to fight against gravity and the momentum of your car all the way down while trying to turn in. The tendency of the car going downhill is to lose the rear end and to over rotate, so it's going to be so tricky for the drivers. But again, got nearly every single type of corner to really test out the drivers, and I'm just so looking forward to seeing what storylines and what prospects we have for the grid order, and not really the grid order, but rather the teams, and what cars we'll be seeing the drivers lining up in.
Yeah, there's a lot riding on tonight, and that's what keeps it exciting. As Tim Perry goes up to fastest, Fantastic stuff from him. We've got Ben Shalcraft coming around the final corner as well. He's about to improve by the look of it, unless that last sector wasn't good enough. It's another green sector from him. Where does he pop up the order? He goes 8th fastest now. And Jake Cranstone also doing a personal best middle sector. He's going quicker. Is the circuit cooling down slightly? Are they making the most of it? Cranstone does not improve. Hoffman now round the final corner. And is he going to be able to do anything with it? Doesn't look like it really. No, he is. Never mind. Flipping X. Shut up, Chaz. Look at that middle sector. 3rd place for Ben Hoffman. Very well done. Great stuff. Toby Ward also. No improvement for him.
No,
What about Silas?
Improvement. Don't think he's going to improve either. Oh, no, he does improve, actually. He goes even faster. I thought it was his first and final sector, just no improvements, but that middle sector, he found a huge chunk of time. A really quick lap time there from Silas Craig-Frolic, cementing his place as the top driver here at the start of the night.
Beautiful stuff by Silas Craig-Frolic. Here's Gilles Gardner, currently exactly 3 seconds off, and then Tom Minot is exactly 4 seconds off. These guys a little bit further down the order, but you know, seeing that much difference in the pace isn't that much of an upset, because not to say that I expected these guys to be slow, that's not what I mean. I mean they shouldn't be upset by that sort of difference, because look at Martin Kenyon. You know, Martin Kenyon last season was at the bottom of each individual pre-season testing session. Trust me, they're not teammates, they're just running the same livery tonight. But you know, Martin was great all season and eventually finished right in the middle of the table. I think he finished in 11th position or something. And you know, he was always there. He was always scoring points, and he enjoyed himself. And he's developed and worked on driving this car a lot, because Martin came from an oval background. I originally commentated on him in the My Turn Racing Truck Racing Championship, and he's really worked hard on developing himself as a driver for this and for the CDM Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. He's also been doing the World Sim Racing GR86 or World GR86 series as well, and it's just great to see that development from Martin. So yeah, Gilles and Tom need not be disappointed in their times or anything, because it's a ruddy hard car to drive, this thing. Sam Fitzpatrick is there as well. We've not got Jack Stiles tonight, but hopefully he is watching. He's away in Italy with his wonderful partner Ali on her birthday, so he needs to clearly get his priorities right. But we hope to see Jack on the grid, and I'm sure we'll sort out a pre-season testing session for Jack at some point in the near future. So Nico Minardi is on an improvement right now as he goes around the final corner. He's improved in the middle sector. He's a little bit wide at the final corner though. Not sure if he'll get away with that one. Let's see what he does across the line. Simon Price apparently just moves ahead of him slightly. Doesn't look like an improvement there for Nico. Stuart Clark improved on his first sector, but nothing doing there. But again, look at how close it is in the middle there, because the top 11 are separated by a second, but then Toby Ward's about 8/10 back, so there's a bit of a gap in the middle of the field. But still, that top bunch of cars, especially because of how difficult these things are to drive, that's very impressive.
Hey, this is brilliant stuff to look. Oh, Jake Cranston now goes up into second fastest. Silas Craig-Frolic top of the order. Tim Perry third. Ben Hoffman in fourth. Kevin Zemstra fifth. And yeah, there are some really quick drivers in there. So, what is the livery from Jake Cranston? Is that the
I think it's got a Jaguar.
Clarkson's Farm, I think. Trying to think with the tractor on the side there.
It does look like he's got a sort of Jaguar mixed with Clarkson's Farm, doesn't it? Yes, it is. It's some
He's
weird...
got a Jag. You can see on the rear spoiler, he's got a Jag.
That's cool, that is. I like that. Of course he's got a Jag. So he's going to turn up, he's not going to pay the bill, and he's going to run off. Great stuff. Interesting to see Cam only in 6th. He's got a bit of damage on the front wing as well there, but the thing is, Cam was not really qualifying on pole at every single round, but he was just knowing how to play the game and winning the races, wasn't he? I think one of the main things to think about is that we do have the one-shot qualifying again as well this season, so drivers will go out one at a time in reverse championship order, and then they will set lap times basically. There will be a couple of them go out on circuit at once with about 30 seconds in between, and we will see the drivers completing their hot laps one at a time. It's great to have that sort of format here with great cooperation between the drivers in the field. They'll be rebriefed on that before we get underway. But there's only a minute left here at the moment, Ed, and Silas Kragvrolic finished right up there in the championship last season for McLaren, and it looks like he may even continue on his run with McLaren and get that car again if he continues this sort of pace.
There is looking very quick indeed, and you're going to start to wonder what this might have in store for all the other drivers this season, because he's looking seriously dominant here. He's been first out on the circuit, first to set fastest time, but oh my word, look at this. Jake Cranston goes top of the pile. It is Jack.
It is Jack. 30 thousandths of a second for Jake Cranston puts him at the top. Amazing stuff right at the death of the session. 30 seconds left to go. Silas Kragvrolic, though, has apparently done a purple sector 2. Is he going to be able to take that back right at the end? Last 15 seconds now. Here he comes. Silas Kragvrolic across the line, and he does it! He's done it! A 140.404. Silas Kragvrolic with less than 10 seconds left on the clock takes it in pre-season testing at the Hungaroring, and that is going to be it. That is going to be your order, everybody, for the first session of the night. That is absolutely awesome. I love it. I absolutely love it. We're just going to have a quick look then at what those lap times came out as, and then we will get everybody moved over to the next session when we go to the Hockenheim ring. There you go then. Silas Kragvrolic wins the first session of the night from Jake Cranstone. Fantastic addition to the championship is Jake. Kevin Zemstra finishes in third place, 6/10 off Silas. Tim Perry in fourth, only just ahead there of Cam Dance. Reigning champion ends up in fifth position in the end, with Ben Hoffman in sixth. Sam Bentham will be seventh, ahead of Mike Murphy, the head of the Circuit Superstars trio, let's call them. He's just ahead of Ben Shalcraft by only about half a tenth of a second. Sam Fitzpatrick was next up. He came up into 10th place. Great stuff from Sam. Stuart Clark eventually slipped down into 11th after being 5th at one point, but that again shows you just how competitive this is. Nico Minardi was just behind him, and then there was about half a second back to Martin Kenyon. Toby Ward was 14th. Following him was Simon Price. John Roberts was 16th ahead of Gilles Gardner. And then it was Tom Minot that finished the 18 cars in that first session of the night. Well, we've got a lot to think about already here, Ed, as we get ready for the next session of the night to get underway in just a few minutes' time. But what did you make of that first one? It was good fun, wasn't it?
It just suddenly erupted, didn't it? There was a bit of a lull midway through as the drivers were just trying out a few different things, I think, with the car, just getting to grips with the slightly different setup to what they were used to. And then all of a sudden, right at the end, Silas Kragvrolic and Jake Cranston really stole the show with their late improvements. We thought that Jake Cranston stole it away from Silas, who'd done so well all session long to be at the top and to keep cementing his place with lap after lap improvements. And then when it all looked like it was going away from him, he suddenly takes it back with an amazing lap at the end to go 1.5 tenths faster. So that was really good stuff, and just makes you wonder, what are we going to be in store for the next races? Not races, qualifying sessions.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a busy one. I'm just trying to set something up here so that we've got an actual gap between the two sessions here. But for some reason, my PC is having a bit of a wobble. So if you bear with me 2 minutes, everybody, I'm going to try and figure this out and hopefully get it all fixed. But it's just suddenly not responding. So I'm really sorry. You might have to just wait a minute here while I try and figure it out. But, well, we've got two very difficult circuits coming up now, Ed. We have to go to the Hockenheim ring next up, which, as you and I both know from previous championships that we've both run in, not an easy place to overtake at all when it comes to the racing side of things. But hot lapping around here, I'd say, is even harder as well, because there's so many places where it's easy to push yourself a little bit too hard, isn't it?
It is so tricky. I mean, the sort of what they call, I think, the Mobile 1 curve going into the sort of arena section is so difficult. That right-hander where you need to almost brush up against the wall on the left-hand side on entry and then chuck the car in. Be careful of the gravel on the exit. And if you do run a little bit too wide, that's it. You're going to have a really high-speed incident. So it's one where the drivers are going to be really tested, I think. And especially as well, the hairpin at the end of the long back straight, sort of going through the what I think they call the parabolica. It's so tricky because again, this car doesn't really like picking up from slow speeds, especially when you're trying to get some steering lock on board as well. So the drivers, they need to be really delicate, but in the same way, they need to be so aggressive to attack the corners as they come.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of different sort of elements to this that they have to consider over the course of the evening. Ice Shard 989 saying Hockenheim is a hard track to pass at. Yes, indeed, it is. I mean, you don't have to worry about that tonight, but it is going to be a hard circuit to overtake at. But still, I think we have now got a chance to just go to an advert break. So, if you bear with us, everybody, we're going to get in the next session here in the Chaz Draycott Media Formula One World Championship by F1Countdown.com with Sim Racing Magazine. And Ed May and I will be back with you in just a few minutes' time. Don't go away. Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The three wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and
But
Pouget.
before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and a drift to show off. Back there, go on board with Ben Gregory now. I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
all the wrongs and every reason why we've changed. And there's a storm inside my head. It's getting me in trouble, baby, and I can't break away. I thought that I could keep it low. Take it easy, take it slow. We ended up just like before, so take it easy, take it easy. I thought that I could keep it low. Take it easy, take it slow. We ended up just like before, so take it easy.
Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Ed May here for the Chaz Draycott Media Boremula 1 World Championship by F1Countdown.com and sponsored by Sim Racing Magazine. We've had the first session of the night completed in pre-season testing, and we hope you enjoyed it, because we are now here at the Hockenheim Ring for the second one of the evening. As we were just saying a moment ago, Ed, a slightly different circuit this time round. Of course, a few differences here and there in terms of the speed, the average speed of this lap. Well, I think we're going to have a good time around this one. It's going to be a big challenge as well, much like the Hungaroring.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be a real cracker. It's great to see, again, just all of the drivers out on circuit Good to see them all together, really. After seeing so much of them being in solo qualifying sessions, it's good to see multiple cars together and having little races here and there. As Kevin Zemstra's pushing the limits yet again and finding himself fast in this practice session. Way up and down the field, you get to see again just drives there. And actually, one of the things to note is the who was that in the number 10 that we were just looking?
Stuart Clark.
That was Stuart Clark. Ah, I see. So that might have been a little bit of front wing damage. Yeah, it was. So that could be something to watch out for as well, as the curbs around here fairly vicious, and that could be something to set some of the drivers with their attempts at getting that fastest time in this pre-qualifying session is maybe a little bit of damage that they're not necessarily aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they could really harm the car and not realise that they're doing it. So, yeah, I think we need to make sure that we keep an eye out on that. And I've just noticed that Silas Craig-Frolick's name is slightly cut off on the timing tower on the left, and I'm not quite sure why that is, but we will address that and we will get to it in the end. I think there was actually, I think you'll remember as well, Ed, there was an update to the overlay software a long time ago that we had at the Hungaroring, and everybody's names were very, very small.
Oh, yeah.
Squashed up, and we couldn't figure it out. So it's something to do with that, basically, because it was a while since I've updated the overlay for Boremula 1. But still, we need to update the overlay now to get rid of it for a sec, because the session is getting underway. Half an hour qualifying now, as the drivers will get straight out there. They know how important every single lap is, and Silas Craig-Frolick instantly on the loud pedal. He makes his way out of the pit lane, and you can see the times coming in at the bottom of your screen, or you will do when they get going, and we'll have that throughout the whole session now, so you'll see when people do start setting times. Is Silas certainly lively on his way out of the pits. Here's Ben Shalcraft in the gorgeous Minardi SimSport livery. He, Mike Murphy and Nico will all have different colours on their similar liveries. They've got their names on the rear wings as well. They have this gorgeous sort of two-tone grey and then their own highlight colour that they all run. But now, down the Parabolica they go. It's just about getting a bit focused here and just taking the time to sort of get used to the car again and how it's going to behave itself.
Yeah, and especially as well with these cars, their tendency to be quite a handful for the first sort of lap and a half. The cold tyres is something to really worry about, especially with the brakes, because it's so tricky and they have a tendency to sort of seize up and lock up on you in those first few laps. And again, the car's just that little bit twitchier. You can't quite attack it the same way that you can later on. So that's something that I think the drivers will be aware of. It's particularly noticeable as well, actually, when we had our one-shot qualifying that we're going to be having this season. Of course, as you've already mentioned, Chaz, that the tyres aren't still in their perfect window during that sort of one lap the drivers get. So they have to be still almost nursing the car around while trying to push and go for those quick times.
I just want to bring up something here that I've only just noticed, and I don't know why. Can you see what I see?
Not sure I do.
What doesn't add up there? There's something on screen right now that really doesn't add up. I don't know whether I'm just being messed with. Silas Craig-Frolick is not from Denmark. He's Dutch.
Oh, wow.
But on his entry, he's down as Denmark for some reason. So, I'm not sure if something has happened and has changed, Silas, but...
Has he moved?
Yeah, have you moved? Have you decided you didn't like the Netherlands? Let us know.
House flood? The seas reclaiming the land?
Yeah.
The constant battle between the Dutch and the ocean starting to win again? Who knows?
The Ocean, as my mate calls it. So, drivers that we need to keep an eye on are, of course, Silas and Jake Cranstone. Also Kevin Zemstra in this session as well. They were the top three in the last one, but there was a few surprises up there. I don't mean to say surprises, it's no offence to the drivers, but there were a few that were right up there and really, really quick in that first session. And I think we've got a few of them that may surprise us. Cam Dance was 5th in that one. He's sat waiting in the pits again as well. It's probably his ping, to be honest. He's just about to get going anyway, isn't he? And then Tim Perry is also just about to complete a lap, but it looks like Silas is going to be one of the first drivers to cross the line. Purple sectors And there you go. First lap is a 1:36.402. He goes a second faster than Chalcraft and then drives off the road as Sam Bentham goes second fastest. And here we go. Here they come in now. Zemstra goes top. Then it's Craig Vrolik, Bentham, Chalcraft, Kenyon, Hoffman, Simon Price. Up into 7th, Stuart Clark sets a lap time. He goes across there but does not do a valid one. By the look of it, I think he might have had a problem towards the end of the lap. Gilles Gardner has been off the road as well. Excuse you. No. That's not the camera angle that we want. Oh, Gilles just pushed it a little bit too far around there, hasn't he? Just gone a little bit too hard. And it's easy to do that around there. It's a big commitment part of the circuit. As we now keep our eye on Stuart Clark, hard onto the brakes into the hairpin. Lumixion in the Twitch chat. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Hope you're doing well. Lumixion has been an amazing supporter of my Gran Turismo 2 series as of late, which has just reached over 100 episodes here on YouTube. And I'm still tearing my hair out over license tests and all sorts, but we're going to gloss over that. Look at John Roberts' livery. Oh, it's the old Leighton house, and it looks fantastic. Oh, I love that. Love that, John. Fantastic choice. Very, very classy indeed. There's currently a big gap in the overlay for some reason, where there's meant to be a car, but there isn't in the middle of that. Toby Ward with his bright pink wheels and a car covered in my face goes around the final corner. Still as Craig Rollick does a purple final sector. Toby Ward improves on all of his. Murphy goes up to 4th. Toby Ward goes 10th for now. And yes, Lee Mixion picking up on the early 2000s F1 TV coverage. Look, yes, my friend, we are in Boremula 1 going to be replicating the 1998 Formula 1 World Championship. This session is basically, or these 3 sessions are to determine what cars the drivers will be in or what liveries they get, so we get a realistic interpretation of the championship. So you will see McLarens, Ferraris, Williams and Jordans near the front, and you'll get the likes of your Tyrrells, Minardis, Prosts near the back of the pack. But now, everybody, for now anyway, Ed, just running their own liveries, and we've got a decent selection, haven't we? It's nice to look at.
Yeah, particularly one with your face. Beautiful thing to look at. Absolutely glorious. But no, it's good to see all the drivers out there and keeping it broadcaster friendly for the liveries, which was a concern, I think it's fair to say, because we know that the drivers like to have a bit of a joke about.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly good for a giggle, but of course we have to be careful that we are able to show things that are broadcastable, as we see Toby Ward there, personal best in the first and second sector, which is going to be intriguing to see where he'll find himself. Currently 12th fastest is Toby. Looks to be on for a bit of a charge here. Again, though, Kevin Zemstra ruling the roost as he did last time out. Actually, Stella Craig Vrolik up there as well. So both of them going very quickly. Actually, Kevin Zemstra wasn't the fastest, was it? No, it was Craig Vrolik who was way up there. So going to see now just through the final corner, coming up to the line. Improvements coming through. Them up to 5th, Perry up to 4th. Cranston there, the purple first sector, but that's enough to go up into 3rd. Actually, a very nice time there for Cranston.
Yeah, indeed. Ben Hoffman didn't get an improvement on the board there. We've got Cam Dance still not doing a lap yet. He's still waiting a little bit. Maybe for, I don't know if he's waiting for the track to get rubbered in or what by other drivers. Admittedly, I know that I've made a bit of a muck up here because we've had basically when you set up the sessions within iRacing, you can have a variation in the weather, so you can tell it what weather you want, but at the same time you can add a sort of chance of how far the weather can go in either direction, whether it gets hotter or cooler than that. And you can have different sort of amounts of cloud cover and wind and all sorts. And just to keep it spicy, I thought, yeah, we'll put 50% weather variation on. But now that means I've got to make sure I get those exact conditions for the drivers that complete the session after this. So I've made myself a lot more work, but I like doing that. You'd think I did anyway. So there's a car missing on the bottom of the screen there for some reason. I'm not quite sure what the situation is, but there's somebody between Sam Bentham and Silas Craig Vrolik there just missing on the timing at the bottom. Although now Sam slots into place. It's just drivers that are towards the end of completing a lap, basically. They slot into there as Silas runs wide out the final corner. No improvements there for him. Sam Bentham is on for some improvements. It's greatness from Dominoes across the line. No, but Toby Ward does pop up the order as well a little bit. He now goes 11th, ahead of Nico Minardi. Nico did say to me before this evening not to expect big things from him for pre-season testing. He's still got a lot of other championships and work on. He's going through a big time with his business as well at the moment. That business being F1Countdown.com as well, who support this championship and are the title sponsor for the championship, hence the name, the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship by F1Countdown.com. Thanks also to Sim Racing Magazine, Andy Marston, for sponsoring the series. It's great to have the support on board. There are still sponsorship opportunities available if you are interested to get your logo on the thumbnails, on all the graphics and on the overlay like you see here, and we'll give you a mention of course throughout the season. So if you are interested before the championship gets underway, then do get in touch and let us know. There's nothing on the cars as such. When the real liveries come out, there will be my logo in the odd place on the cars, but only very, very small, just for sort of copywriting purposes, because I do make all the liveries myself, and it's taken a long, long time, which, yeah, if I calculated the cost, I'm probably going to make a massive loss. But still, it's one of those things. I do it for the love of it mainly, because I love these cars, I love these great people involved in the championship as well, and I love running this championship. It's good fun. So,
Was that Chalcraft with front wing damage again? One of the
Yes.
drivers caught out, I think, a little bit by the sort of lack of vision from the cockpit. You can't really see any damage. The car still feels as twitchy as it ever did, either with the front wing fully intact or without. But that is going to be impeding his pace around the circuit, and it's on the outside vein there on the left-hand side. So it's wonder where you'd be able to pick that up from. Maybe on the exit curbs coming through. So these cars maybe out here, the bumps, the cars being as low as they are, that might upset it. I'm not sure.
yeah, I'm not
On
sure
board
either,
with Cam
actually.
Dance. Really pivotal corner this, because you have to chuck it in, carry the momentum through. You can run a little bit wide of the apex. It doesn't matter as long as you do get on the power nice and early and all the way down now through the parabolica. And it's a long run for the drivers to think about where they're going to be braking, how hard, how late they're going to be doing it, what point they need to be turning in. Are they going to go for sort of earlier apex? Are they going to try and go for a late one and get on the power as straight as you can with the car? Things like you avoid the apex entirely if you can dance and just
Yeah.
carry the momentum through. That could be a technique though, because there are certain corners that drivers do actually take a line that doesn't really necessarily you imagine it to be the quickest, but just the way the cars generate downforce at differing speeds, it sometimes is better to steer clear from the apex and just carry that momentum through with a bit of understeer.
Yeah, you need to sort of throw the car in karting style, don't you, and then just manage the momentum through the corner and then on the exit. Great looking stuff by Cam Dance at the moment. This, he's of course doing personal best sectors because he's not done a valid time yet. There was an improvement from Nico Minardi. He's gone up into 12th place, and Jake Cranstone has gone 5 thousandths ahead of Silas Krag-Vrolik. That's certainly a rivalry that is brewing. Ben Chalcraft looks like he's done 2 green sectors on his lap as well, but doesn't seem to count. Not sure if he's invalidated that somewhere. Cam Dance across the line, and it's going to be 5th place for Cam, 3/10 off the fastest time. Chucks it in too hard to turn 1 on the following lap, and that is unfortunately not enough to keep it on the road and keep it valid. Simon Price has gone around turn 1. You can see some different lap times coming through there. I'm just trying to get the qualifying graphics to work again for some reason, because it keeps sort of resetting people based on what lap they're on. Sam Fitzpatrick comes around the final corner. He's currently 8th at the moment. He was 10th in the earlier session at the Hungaroring. And Jake Cranstone across the line doesn't improve on that previous lap. I'm not sure what's happened to the graphics at the bottom there, Ed, but it's done something wrong. You can see, look, they're still appearing there. So I'm going to just reload the overlay, because that's the best thing to do, is to just kill it and then see whether... There we go. So usually there's 3 or 4 of them that show up at the bottom. I think we can get 4 on there if we do this. Yeah, we can get a 4th driver on. I don't think it gets in the way of... No, there we go. I'm literally just testing things live on air, but this is the thing as well. You know, even for Ed and I here in the commentary box, this is a test broadcast for us, just to make sure that everything's still running properly ahead of the season and that we're happy with everything. And yeah, it's certainly looking good at the moment, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. Looking good. Could be Ben Hoffman with his lap time coming through. Personal best in the 1st and 2nd sector. So he's making his way over to the line now what will we be seeing from the driver? He's currently in 10th place, looking to maybe crack into top 5 if he can. Coming across the line, no an improvement in the final sector, and actually, overall, not an improvement whatsoever. So that's disappointing from Ben Hoffman, who was looking on for quite a good lap there, to be fair. He was certainly putting in some good pace in the first couple of sectors, but again, it's just one of those things. It's a test of mental endurance for the drivers, even though it's obviously a sprint qualifying. You have to be focused for so long around here, just trying to pick the markers, and there are some really important corners where the pressure does mount on you, even though you've got no one really around you. You do feel it coming into these corners. You know, I have to nail this one, otherwise the lap time is just completely bust. And we're coming up to one right now, which is this, the pivotal right-hander, going onto this long flat-out section. Again, just carry the momentum through, stick on the power as early as you dare, and just wait it out. And if you get it right, you get to see, lovely little green numbers ticking up. And sometimes, if you get it wrong, you see the horrible red numbers start to tick down.
Yeah, you absolutely do. It's a difficult thing sometimes if you do have your live delta up on screen, trying to chase it down. It can be very discouraging at points. Martin Kenyon here going through the very quick right-hander into the arena. He's got front wing damage as well on his number 9 car at the moment. There's a few drivers out there that haven't got their numbers assigned yet because they've only recently joined the league, so you will see between sessions a number of the cars do sort of change numbers and people change hands, because Martin, I believe, is number 3, but Sam Fitzpatrick hasn't had his number assigned and he's taken number 3 during this session. Anyway, more exciting things going on than that. We're at the halfway point of this session then. It's Kevin Zemstra fastest at the moment, Jake Cranstone in second, and Silas Kragvrolic in third. That's a reverse of the top 3 from the earlier session. And basically, if there is a tie, because it's done on points or on average position, basically, so if the guys do tie because there are only 3 sessions, then basically it's down to who was the quickest of the 3 of them in terms of the gaps between them. So you can see there, Cranstone and Kragvrolic, 5 thousandths between the pair of them there. But if Cranstone in another session was, say, a 10th slower than Kragvrolic, then, you know, it'd obviously go the way of Kragvrolic because he was further ahead by more. We actually last season had a tie between Kevin Zemstra and Ben Hoffman for second and third, I believe it was, in the pre-season testing results. And I think in the end they were only separated by about 8 thousandths of a second across all 3 sessions. It was remarkable. But that, again, is another testament to how close this championship has been and will be.
Yeah, I dare to imagine what you'd do if the drivers did identical lap times as well. They were basically even on the difference.
Just kick them
I don't
out
know what
for
you'd do.
winding me up.
They'd have to take it in turns. One race they get the car, and then the other one they have to swap it over.
Yeah.
Driver swaps every single round.
Rolling
for those 2
contracts.
teams. Yeah, exactly. As we see a little bit of a moment there. Right back onto the road. Seems to be all fine now. No damage, which is all good. And another thing that we have as well, Chaz, is because of basically the evening being the way it's set out, we have allowed drivers to hop in for interviews midway through the proceedings here. And I believe we do have a driver waiting in the wings. And Chaz, eager as ever, drags him in. So why don't you have a quick word with the driver that we're just having a look now, sitting in the pits and jumping quickly into the comms box. It's Simon Price.
Hello.
Yeah, I had to stop and get some breath. I'm knackered.
Yeah, it's certainly lively out there, isn't it? In these cars, mate, it's not easy at all to keep it up, is it? In these machines,
It's a handful, yeah, definitely. And the grip's not there to begin with, and it falls off really quickly as well. But you've got to drive them so gently. And the minute you start try-harding, that's when things go bad. So, yeah, just need to rein my head in a bit, and because I'm 2 seconds off the fastest guys, so I can't imagine what they're doing in the cockpit. It's nuts.
Oh yeah, some of them. I mean, they're pretty terrifying. Some of the guys that you'll see at the top of this, but you know, it's a unique car, isn't it, as a challenge, because it's just a weird one in the way that, like you say, you have to be so gentle with it. And normally in open wheel cars like this, you have to be all out commitment and real balls to the wall driving, don't you?
Yeah, no, it doesn't reward that very well. I'm finding that, certainly. I've been doing a lot of driving in the 3.5 recently, and as much as people badmouth that during the league, it's so much better, so much nicer, and more predictable. But this is like a little F3 go-kart. It's good fun, but you've got to be so on it to get the best out of it.
Yeah, and it'll kill you at the earliest opportunity, to be fair. We're just watching one of your previous laps out there. What are you finding is the real challenging point of this circuit here at Hockenheim? Because there's multiple elements to this place, isn't there?
Yeah, I quite enjoy the circuit, and it's one of the ones I did manage to practice, because I didn't find out the 3 practice ones had changed until today. So luckily this one was on. This one was on the original thing, so I put a few laps in. I do like driving around here, but definitely hitting the mark on the hairpin. Very difficult, but even some of the quicker corners, if you're not really precise and hitting your marks, you're just losing so much time down the straights, or just out of the corners, the back end stepping out, squeezing all the time. You're just losing time hand over fist. Yeah, it's hard now.
Talk us through the livery, Simon, because admittedly I made an absolute clown of myself before earlier and just assumed that it was to do with the 1997 Formula 1 team Lola, not the dog.
Yeah. It's for our dog who we had to say goodbye to last month.
Oh, bless you.
The drawing on the front by a very talented man called Martin Whitmore came as a bit of a surprise. We didn't even know he was doing it, and it's the spitting image of our dog. So I just figured, because I didn't have a livery for tonight other than just one of the standard ones, so I thought I spent a little time earlier just throwing something together, and I just figured it'd be nice to just have her with me for this.
No, I love that, Simon. I really do. It's nice to see it, and fair play to you, mate. And apologies for assuming wrongly before. I just thought that maybe it was some sort of meme I didn't know, but we couldn't quite see it in the early stages. So yeah, that's complete misjudgment on my part. So apologies, but I'm really sorry, mate.
Yeah. No, that's fine. It is what it is. But if there was a Lola running this season, I'd probably be looking to get into that.
Well, they wouldn't make it to the season, to be fair. The Lolas from 97 were absolute rubbish. But
they're abominable, weren't they?
Oh, aye, but indeed. Well, we're going to let you go, Simon, but thank you very much for hopping in, mate, and best of luck with the rest of the session. Cheers for joining us.
No worries. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Well, there we go. So, yeah, I might have made a bit of a clot of myself, but lovely stuff for Simon, running his beloved Lola on the car. A bit of news that we need to look at here, Sam. Sam? No, you're Ed. That's Sam. Is that Sam Fitzpatrick is 3rd fastest now. Fantastic stuff. Really good time. Never mind, 4th.
Yeah, Tim Perry's putting in a really good time now as well. So we're seeing changes all around now as we've just finished talking to Simon. He's going to get back out and probably throw himself into the mix as well and change about there, trying to get ahead of Minardi and Ward and see what will happen there. But for now, it's been really exciting just to see those quick changes. Tim Perry up into 3rd. That's a really nice lap time as well, and not miles away from being able to challenge Zemster and Cramston for those top 2 spots.
Yeah, it's nice and close, isn't it? Between all these guys, we've got Cam Dance in 6th position at the moment. He's just pushing the limits now. Mike Murphy behind him then, Sam Bentham, Stuart Clark, Ben Chalcraft, Ben Hoffman, Martin Kenyon in the middle, Toby Ward, Nico Minardi, then Simon Price, who we just spoke to a moment ago, John Roberts, and then Gilles Gardner. I would tell you that down in 18th place was Sir Ed May, but he's obviously spectating this session rather than driving in it. We've got Kevin Zemstra on a flyer at the moment by the look of it. We'll bring the qualifying graphics back up. It seems to have pooed itself again, so we'll just get that to refresh. And then we should get all 4 drivers along the bottom. Ben Chalcraft doing a purple Sector 1. Ben's on a mission.
It's going to be really good. Hopefully it's a valid first sector as well and not one that's seen an off-track through turn 1, but he's properly pushing here, so this could be a supreme lap from Chalcraft. The superstar of the Hockenheim circuit could be going his way. Let's have a look as he crosses the line. Is he going to improve? Yes, he does. Up into 8th place, so that was a really quick first sector. Seems to judge it again really nicely through turn 1, so we might be seeing him start to rocket up the order.
Yeah, doing a great job there is Ben as he pushes the limits. The back end of that car really hanging out, to be fair. And that's what it's all about in this car. Like Simon was saying, you can really push the limits, but you have to still be careful with it at the same time. This is Gilles Gardner, currently 3.9 off. Gilles was it still is an amazing photographer and great in sim photography as well, or simtography as we call it. I believe he's still going to be doing a couple of pictures for us this season. We also have a good friend of mine, Morgan Butler, who will be providing images throughout the season as well. Morgan's logos and branding will be featuring on the championship when we get fully running with the first couple of rounds. I just saw Sam Fitzpatrick in the waiting room there, and he's just disappeared. I'll message him saying come back and just see if we can have a quick word with Sam, because he's always a good laugh to talk to. And I know that he's going to tell us something about maybe having a potential nosebleed being that high up, or he's going to make some sort of joke. I know that him and Jack Styles, they were responsible for the Fitzsty team, obviously part of Fitzpatrick and Styles, making the name of that team. That now became what is Orbit Motorsport, and that is the team of which Cam Dance drives for. So a very good team indeed. But Sam is certainly hoping that he beats Jack in this championship this season, because Jack was right up there last time in the Ferraris, wasn't he, Ed? So, there's no one to be, no positions to be sniffed at where Jack was concerned.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we are seeing some really close racing up at the, not close racing, but close lap times up at the top of the order here. And I mean, you see in the likes of Cam Dance only being in 5th place. I mean, from him, that just shows the level of everyone else around him just seemingly getting stronger and stronger. And maybe these circuits aren't necessarily his favourite, but being our season's champion, you'd be expecting him to be fighting for at least those top 3 positions. So it's great to see the likes of Perry going strong, as well as Fitzpatrick and Zemstra. And then, of course, you've got newcomers in the form of Cranston getting right in the mix as well. It's almost like they've been racing these Pro Masters all along last year.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Like we were saying earlier on, seat time is so important in this car just to get used to how it behaves. We're on a medium downforce setup as well, whereas throughout the first part of the season last time out we were on a high downforce setup, so it was a completely different kettle of fish. And we have finally got with us in the commentary box. He is back. Sam Fitzpatrick joins us. Sam, how are you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm alright, thanks. I'm sorry for my indecision beforehand, because I've been getting annoyed, and I keep on getting off tracks at turn 1, and I thought, you know what can I do? I'll have a chat with Jazz. And then I thought, no, Sam, come on, you gotta stick with it. You gotta do another lap. And then I messed up that lap, and I thought, nah, that's game over. And I came up here again. So yeah, hopefully you guys are alright.
Yeah, we're enjoying ourselves so far. It's nice to see the different liveries that people have chosen to run before the season gets underway. We're loving the Braun livery on your car. You're doing all right so far, though. You were a bit late to the Hungaroring, which isn't a track that's easy to sort of get used to in a car like this, but still got the times on the board. But now they're in 4th place in this session. Must be quite confidence boosting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be, a bad sportsman about it. I know this is meant to be a fun league, but I do think that it's been very unsporting of the rest of the drivers, because, these guys have had a season in this, and as far as I'm aware, I've heard rumours that other people have done practice for this, and I just think it's out of line, if I'm honest. I turn up into Hungaroring halfway through the practice session. I have an absolute mare, because every steering wheel that I try, this is my 3rd steering wheel that I've tried this evening. All the other ones were broken in different ways. And also, I just have an overwhelming lack of talent. So, yeah, I'm not having a go, but I do think some penalties should be given out, Chaz. And the fact that I'm up in 5th, I think it's frankly a miracle. I don't know how it's happened.
Well, yeah, that has just become 5th position after no, it's not Tim Perry. It was Kevin Zemstra has improved, isn't it, and gone up there. No, Silas
I think it was Silas.
Yes, Silas Kragvrolic has jumped up there now, up into 2nd position. We're still watching a replay of you in your previous laps that you were doing. And, I mean, these cars look and sound great around this circuit. They look very, very lively, but we all know they're just as lively behind the wheel, aren't they? They are real handfuls.
They really are. Over the curbs, it's not easy at all, and yeah, you're constantly moving about. But I mean, I think it's quite satisfying to drive. I mean, the car sort of, I guess, understeers a bit mid-corner, which is quite nice. So you can sort of like push the car mid-corner, which is all right. So yeah, I think it'll be fun. I'm glad that I haven't hopped into this and absolutely despised it. So yeah, that's quite nice.
Well, it's good to know that you're enjoying it, Sam, and it's great to have you on board with the championship. What are your thoughts and your aims for the season ahead, though? Did you have any ideas coming into this?
Well, of course, I mean, I've been listening to your broadcasts throughout. I think that I'm blaming that on why I've off-tracked on 90% of my laps. But I heard you talking about me setting up a team with Jack Styles. Obviously, you know, me and Jack have an eternal hatred now between each other. So if I can beat him in any form, or if I can at all just compromise his races whatsoever, I think that would be a fantastic victory for myself. So yeah, and everyone in Orbit Motorsports, just I mean, watch your back, guys, because you're going to see a Minardi coming up behind you, and you don't want to go near him.
Well, there we go. Thank you very much, Sam, for jumping in, mate. It's a pleasure to speak to you, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow. I look forward to it.
Have a good one, mate. See you soon. There we go then, Sam Fitzpatrick. I told you it'd be funny. I told you it'd be a laugh to bring Sam in. He's fantastic. He's a really, really funny lad, and a very good commentator as well, and a decent driver as we've seen so far this evening. But now at the top is Kevin Zemstra, but right behind him, 68 thousandths behind him, is Silas Krag-Vrolik. I'm so used to calling him Silas Crash Vomit that I nearly messed his name up then. But Silas, you know, him and Zemstra, they are teammates. They always have worked together or crashed together, as they often do. But, you know, they're not able to work together here in this session. Drivers aren't able to use slipstream with each other. It really does mean that it's all down to driver pace in this sort of session like this, doesn't it? And that's what makes it so exciting. There's no slipstreaming or sort of games being played, but that is it. And the session is over. I can't believe that it went around that quickly, to be honest with you. I didn't even think we were that close to the end of it, to be honest. But still, let's have a look then, shall we, at the second session results of the evening here in the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship with F1Countdown.com, or by F1Countdown.com. Kevin Zemstra takes the win in that session and gets himself a very solid handful of points ahead of Silas Krag-Vrolik. Cam Dance finishes in third place. He goes up there right at the end with Jake Cranstone and Tim Perry in fifth place. Sam Fitzpatrick ends up in sixth ahead of Mike Murphy in seventh. Again, top of the Circuit Superstars bunch. Ben Shellcraft was in eighth ahead of fellow Ben Hoffman in ninth place. Sam Bentham rounds out the top 10. Then we have Stuart Clark and Martin Kenyon with Nico Minardi next up. Toby Ward in the 14th spot ahead of John Roberts, and then Simon Price. Gilles Gardner was 17th. We didn't have Tom Minot in that session. He's going to have to recomplete that one at a different time. He's had to jump out for the rest of the evening, unfortunately. And then the only driver I would ever let run a triple-digit number in this championship, 18th place, Ed May at the bottom of the pile there, as you see. Lovely. Well, apparently the race is gridding up at this point, Ed, but of course we're going to be moving on to a quick ad break. One more session left to go though at Imola. What do you make of going there?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And I mean, every single impulse in my body is telling me to sign up as a driver again and get out racing. I mean, it was just muscle memory that let me sign up as a driver this time, but no, I'll be having to sign up as a spectator and watch from the comms box, which is a great shit because I love Imola. It's such a wonderful circuit. But again, we're gonna have some really close qualifying here because yet again it's so tight up at the top. And again, Chaz, we have some drivers waiting in the wings for a quick little chat, so maybe we'll be able to switch over to the next session and have a little chinwag with one of them before we get started with the last pre-qualifying session.
Yeah, actually, we'll just go to a quick ad break and then we'll be right back with you, everybody, and then we'll have a chat to some drivers before we get the last one underway. Don't go anywhere. Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're three wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been mugged and a drift is going off. with Ben Gregory now. I love this. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Cause I wanna freeze this moment, make it mine, hold you close. Now my heart's wide open. When I'm with you, suddenly I feel no pain. Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Stop the time, cause I wanna freeze this moment, make it mine, hold you close. Now my heart's wide open. When I'm with you, suddenly I feel no pain. Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Do you make it go away? Do you make it go away?
So hello again everybody, we're still just loading into the final session of the evening, but we found another driver nutty enough to want to come and chat to us here in the commentary box. We're joined by Toby Ward, who was one of the drivers from last season. Toby, you were in Minardi last season, had a very busy and frightening campaign at points, but how are you feeling going into this this new season, mate?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. The car's still as good to race as ever. You know, you can really hustle the car when the tyres are warmed up. Like, I was getting full-on four-wheel slides that in most cars you just wouldn't be able to rescue, but in this one you can. It's been an interesting experience using the medium downforce set. Previously we've had a lot more downforce, and I've been able to actually match my times from last season, but it's notable that in the straights I was gaining time, and perhaps in the more technical corners, and especially like the sort of the high downforce sweepers, I was losing time as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out during the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a different kettle of fish in a lot of different environments. But you know, there's been a lot of interesting circuits on the calendar before, and now it's a much more compact calendar this time. There's not going to be as long to practice for everybody. So what do you make of that as a difference going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely going to improve the quality of the racing. You know, this is kind of a weird car to drive at times. You really have to have good throttle discipline. Sometimes you have to put in a little bit of throttle where in most cars you'd be lifting, for instance, and it takes time to rewire your brain to get used to that. So I'm hoping that having the more frequent racing will mean people are a little bit more consistent and there'll be fewer big shunts. There was definitely a few times last season where a decent amount of the pack went out, and then luckily, because I can drive the car, I managed to take advantage of that and get a couple of points. So I actually think it's going to be harder for me this year, just because, you know, the quality of the field at the moment is so good, and people don't seem to be spinning out as much as before. So yeah,
I think it's one of those cars that takes some getting used to, but I think when you're on it, it's a real it's a real roller coaster ride, isn't it? When when you get on it and it
yeah, definitely
sticks.
I mean, it's featured on like the iRacing Instagram before, because you know a couple of rounds in, we were getting side by side action for like half of the lap at times. That's just how good these cars are when you get them feeling just right and you get drivers who know what they're doing in them. So yeah, definitely a lot to look forward to.
There absolutely is, mate. And of course, there's one more session for you to look forward to as well here at Imola. So we will let you go, and as you crack on, we will keep our eye out for you, and we hope you enjoy it.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys.
Cheers. There we go. Toby Ward, very good interviewer. He's lovely to speak to, isn't he? He was very well spoken and well presented. But here we are, Ed, at the glorious Autodromo Enzo E. Dino Ferrari for the final CDM Boremula 1 World Championship by F1Countdown.com private pre-season testing session. This is going to be the biggest challenge of the night, I think, because the accuracy required around here and the curbs and everything. Oh, this is going to be a nightmare for them.
It's going to be great. I mean, we're coming up to such a technical section now, going down in towards Acqua Minerale with Nico Minardi. So you have to chuck it into the car, because you don't have the high downforce set. You have to sort of bleed onto the brakes to coast it in. Again, just attack it, use all of the circuit on the exit. There's a nasty bump as well on that uphill rise out of Acqua Minerale, which is something that can really catch out the drivers. If their cars aren't fully settled as they're making their way out, that can just cause a big incident, and one that's so difficult to save. Luckily there, it was all fine, and it's giving the drivers a good time to see sort of how the cars handle the little bumps and differences here in sort of the circuit profile. Just into the final corner, another really crucial one, because you have this long run all the way from here towards the first corner, flat out for so long. I mean, this is one that in the races, the slipstream will be just immense all the way down in towards the first chicane. It's so tricky because you have to really attack it, but the anti-cuts on the inside are fearsome.
Yeah, they really are. They've got these humongous sausage curbs on the inside, and drivers have to be oh so careful. And I tell you what, there's a few guys out there that will be pushing the limits as they were before. And, well, I think that Silas Craig Vrolik and Kevin Zemstra will be very, very happy with the fact that they've got a win apiece at the moment. Jake Cranstone's been a fantastic addition, though, hasn't he, Ed? He's really been pushing the boundaries at the moment, and he's certainly going to be in one of the top teams this season.
Yeah, definitely. You can see the likes of, like you mentioned, Zemstra and Craig Vrolik with a win apiece. I think actually if Zemstra or Craig Vrolik win here, then they're essentially guaranteeing their position, at least provisionally, in Mika Häkkinen's championship winning McLaren, which I mean is a beautiful car. So you can understand the drivers have extra incentive to be running a very nice looking bit of kit for the season to come. Obviously, like you say, some drivers at the start of a season have a car they try and aim to get. Last season, I think nearly everybody wanted to have a piece of the Jordans. I wonder if we're going to be seeing anything similar this season.
Yeah, I think the Jordan's still demanding a lot of attention for this season, to be fair, as well. Tom Minot is back in the session, by the way. He's into the final one for tonight, so he'll only have to rerun the Hockenheim session at a different time. Rob Lundgren in the Twitch chat as well. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're all right. Rob will also be running a separate session. The other driver will be Jack Stiles as well. Just having a look down the order to who else will need to run. Oh, Pete Harrod is the other driver that will have to run in that extra session to put times on the board. So, yeah, we'll obviously catch up with those guys and look out for announcements and all sorts. And we'll oh, good. Ooh. That was John Roberts running another different livery. He's changing between sessions. I like this, John. He ran a Leighton House in the other one, and this is now the Williams. But that was a big old moment there for John, wasn't it? Look at this.
Is he running a different lid as well, or is that the same one he was running before?
That's his usual lid. It's based on the old Apple Macintosh branding. Oh, dear.
Oh, yeah. It's just, again, though, it's those little incidents in the cars. One minor overstep that can result in a fair old whack into the barriers. So Jules Gardner making his way down into, again, these final couple of corners. So difficult. Got to really slow it down for the first one, and then you can attack the second one a little bit more aggressively to carry the momentum through. But as practice ends, quickly kicked off of the circuit back into the pits, because we have the final pre-qualifying session of the evening, and it's a pivotal one because this is where the drivers have their final chance to show what they can do, show their worth, and see where they'll be for this season coming up, what cars they'll be piloting, and also, more importantly, who their teammates are going to be.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the drivers, they came together very well last season to sort of have a laugh with their respective teammates, and, you know, they did try and work together with their teammates. All it was that they were running the same livery, basically, but there is a team's championship to think about as well. There is a drivers' championship on top of that, and it was the Benetton team last season that won it, with Cam Dance and Pete Newman taking that championship, and Cam Dance obviously being the drivers' champion as well. And we do have an amazing lineup of people in this series, though, and a great bunch, and I look forward to seeing how they get on. But this final one here at Imola, this is going to be a massive, massive challenge. This track is so understated. Drivers always say that they love coming here, but then forget how difficult it is to put a clean lap in with all the chicanes and all sorts. You always feel like, no matter what you do around Imola, there's always more on the table, isn't there, Ed?
It really is. It's just such an amazing circuit. I mean, just this shot we have on board all the way through Aqua Minerale, you can just see the little movements of the wheel around inside the suspension, juddering about over the bumps, and the way it compresses as well into the braking zones. The car dipping just slightly. It's set up fairly stiffly, but even so, you do get a little bit of movement. Just great to see, isn't it? Mike Murphy going to be setting, or rather, getting ready to set his first time. This is just the outlap. It's good to see that already pushing hard, even when the tyres aren't necessarily up to their optimal window. Going out across the line now. The start. It's going to be the first flying lap here at Imola.
Indeed, down the start-finish straight that isn't straight. It's an amazing place to be. If you've never been to Imola before, honestly, I really do recommend it. I've been lucky enough to fly out there a couple of times for different championships that I've commentated on in the real world, working there with Clio Cup, and it's been an insanely entertaining venue every time I've been down there. I really do love it at Imola. I've never been there when it's been cold either. I've been there during a torrential rainstorm when it was still about 30 degrees Celsius. The first time I went, though, I landed in Bologna, got into my little rental car. I always try and get a Fiat 500 when I'm in Italy because they're just so much fun. And I looked at the dashboard and it said it was 38.5 degrees Celsius the first time I went to Bologna. And I can still feel the melting feeling now as when I first got in that car. It is boiling hot when you go down there. It's like being in a volcano just everywhere you stand.
Look at this. Kevin Zemstra hotting up on circuit there, really attacking the curbs and seemingly trying to get off to a flying start. Into the braking zone, it's so difficult, but again, he just seems to get it pitched in. It's like he's been driving this medium downforce set all season long while everyone else was on the high, but look at that, so close, just touching the gravel. There was almost a big incident. He managed to keep it pinned, and I think he's gotten away with not having a 1x. I'm not entirely sure on the exit of that corner if you can pick one up or not. As he crosses the line, there doesn't seem to be a time coming through, so that was an invalidation just at the end there, but he was pushing so hard, purple sectors all throughout. And now we start to think about what we might see from him, because that was very quick, as again, bumps over the curb there. That's Martin Kenyon, all out of shape, but that's perfectly illustrating what we were talking about earlier, Chaz. Those horrible sausage curbs through that first chicane. They're not as bad through the second one, but I tell you what, it's just so fearsome through that first chicane.
Yeah, it really is. You have to commit so much to that part of the lap, and it's so easy to get it wrong. And even there you can see as well, as Martin Kenyon puts his foot down out of Tosa, the back end wanting to break away. There's just a lot of different elements of this track that are so hard to get on board with. Here's Nico Minardi making his way down towards the Tamburello chicane. It's the Circuit Superstars trio at the top at the moment. Ben Chalcraft, Nico Minardi and Mike Murphy flying the flag for the brand, as oh dearie me, Nico's just overdone it. Crimson79 in the chat as well. Great to see you, mate. Another one of the Circuit Superstars, I would say. A real star indeed is Crimson. But Ben Chalcraft top, Nico Minardi second, Mike Murphy third at the moment. We've got purple sectors coming in from the likes of Kevin Zemstra. Silas Craig Vrolic was quick. Sam Bentham's been quick all throughout tonight as well. In the Domino's machine, oh god, nearly turns into the wall there. You could see him correct that for a minute, couldn't you? He turned in and then sort of went, oh, a bit too much there, Sam. And he actually gets a yellow final sector, which means he doesn't improve on his personal best, and it is not a valid time either. Sir MPH says, Chaz, stop the session. Minardi Simsport lead. They do. Well, they did. Kevin Zemstra, one of the fastest drivers from last season in the Ferrari. Well, he now goes back to the top of the times. He was fastest in the Hockenheim session, of course, ahead of Silas. And now is Silas, yes. Silas is now up there. Literally, as I look across the timing screen, back to the graphics again, Mike Murphy jumps ahead of Nico Minardi, and the times come in. Thanks very much, Crimson. Really appreciate the very kind words, my friend. I love commentating, and I will continue to do so for as long as it allows. As long as the invoices keep coming in, I will continue to do it, mate. I absolutely adore my job. I really do. So, Sam Fitzpatrick, I mean, he's not really put any blistering times on yet. Although, actually, no, this is his first outlap, actually, here, Ed. Yeah. So this isn't... He's not sort of done a full fast time yet.
Yeah, late runner. Again, with the likes of Cam Dance, who's yet to actually make a trip onto the circuit. I'm not sure what is going on. Maybe obviously it's different time zones. Cam's probably got some housework to be doing that he's trying to balance with his racing. Who knows? Kevin Zemstra, purple second sector. This could be a very, very good lap from the driver who's trying to chase down that top spot in pre-qualifying. Watching Sam Fitzpatrick though way through these final couple of corners. That's so nice on the exit as well. Really nicely done. You're going to see him up to the line now, hugging the inside close as you dare. You don't want to get too close on the inside though, because it does actually slow you down a little bit through the bumps and just the dirtiness of the circuit. Goes up into 5th place, now down into 6th, as I think that was Ben Hoffman going up into 4th. Ben Chalcraft staying in 3rd. Craig Frolic top as it stands as well, ahead of Kevin Zemstra. Plenty of changes all around. I think that's Mike Murphy now up into 3rd place.
Yeah, Mike Murphy with an improvement there as he crosses the line. Lovely job indeed. And we have the apparently Danish Silas Craig Vrolic at the top at the moment. Really not sure at all why the Danish flag is there. He's from the Netherlands as far as I know, but we'll see. We'll speak to Silas about that. Tom Minot goes 3rd fastest now. He improves. He's just trying to get a couple of lap times in here, because I think he does need to jump off again pretty sharpish. So He's committing to this to do this. He's then out of the country. He's got a flight at 5 a.m. tomorrow, so he's in a bit of a rush here, is Tom Minot. But I tell you what, his commitment knows no bounds, and he's still here putting the times in, and we really appreciate that from Tom. There were a few drivers that said they didn't realise they'd made the cut until the last moment, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I think some of them are a bit caught out by this, so I think my communication has been lacking slightly, but still great to have the amount of drivers we do tonight. We've got the 18 of them in this session, 22 signed up for the season, of course, to fill the 22 spots that there were on the 1998 Formula One World Championship grid. And I think we're going to have... it's going to be a very tough midfield to call. I really have no idea, other than maybe, you know, no disrespect to any of the drivers that have been consistently up there that we might not have noticed, but other than Silas, Kevin, and of course Jake Cranstone, it could be anybody's guess. It's anyone's game, but I love that. But that's what it was like in 98, because you had the two McLarens of Hakkinen and Coulthard, you had the Ferrari of Schumacher, and then it was anybody else's game after that, and I love that, and that's what it's looking like at the moment.
Yeah, I think Tim Perry's also been really quick as well. He's come on so fast at this pre-qualifying session. So Sam Bentham, who's sort of been there or thereabouts, but again, he's not necessarily been lighting the timing of the screens of lights, so he's been one of the ones that has sort of flown under the radar. Jake Cranston, second fastest with a very nice time there. Just, what's that, about 300ths of a second off of Craig Frolic up in front, so not a huge amount of difference. And Silas has been really quick through the final sector, but again, leaving time on the table through the first four, so we could still see a little bit of an improvement going through from Silas, which is scary to say, as he's been so quick all evening long. And then to the likes of Zemstra as well, who's leaving time on the table as well, I think it's fair to say. So definitely room to improve for a lot of these drivers. Cam Dance now on a flying lap, obviously setting his first time, so that's why they are coming up as personal best. And that was very aggressive by Cranston there, coming out of Aqua Minerale. I'm not sure if that was outside of track limits, but that was so far over the curb on the exit there.
Yeah, really pushing the limits there for sure. You've got to just try it, though, around this circuit. It's one that demands a lot from you. Here is Gilles Gardner in the Ferrari livery, car 27. I'm not quite sure what year of Ferrari that is. I know with him running the number 27, it's obviously one of the late 90s numbers. For some reason, late 80s, I should say. For a long time, I always thought that F1's numbering system was based on where teams finished in the Manufacturers' Championship. And I always thought, why were Ferrari always seemingly so fast and at the front, but still always numbers 27 and 28? But it turns out there was a system before that. Jake Cranstone goes fastest. He improves and is now 91 thousandths of a second ahead of Silas Craig-Vrolic. Great stuff by Jake Cranstone. Will he take the final top spot of the night? He's certainly on his way to doing it at the moment. But as I was going to say, there was a numbering system a long, long time ago where the teams basically got given a number, and it was only the sort of championship winning team that then inherited cars 1 and 2. Or the team that then inherited the world champion, if it wasn't a team that had won the Constructors' Championship the year before, they inherited numbers 1 and 2. And they basically just swapped them over. So I think when Ferrari lost the title, they lost it to a team that was originally numbered really far down the order, and then they swapped with them and got numbers 27 and 28.
I much prefer the new system that they use. It's so complicated, isn't it? Needlessly so back in the day. But it's good to see that basically the drivers are allowed to basically pick a number and sort of stick with it. It's good to see sort of all of those different things come through. Because, I mean, likes of Max Verstappen obviously taking the number 1. But for me, I can't imagine him not ever having that 33 on the car. Same with Lewis Hamilton. I think there was a period actually in 2009 where he did run the number 1. But I think from then onwards, I think as soon as he went to Mercedes, he kept the 44, which again is synonymous with himself. Same with Lando Norris in the number 4, Daniel Ricciardo in the number 3. I mean, it's good to see that the drivers can sort of keep that as part of their identity no matter what team they go to.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I've enjoyed the sort of custom numbers thing within Formula One. You know, I've always seen it in MotoGP and in motorbike racing. It's something that the riders carry with them as an identity, and the drivers have been doing the same. You know, if you look at Lando Norris's number 4 logo, it's just an amazing piece of design. It's gorgeous. But at the same time, one of my favourite things from watching the British Touring Car Championship back in the 90s, one of my favourite things was the fact that going from season to season, you would know which drivers to look out for the following year, because it was mandatory that you ran your finishing position from last season as your car number for the following season. So if you saw people that were number 1 to 5, for example, you knew that they were big hitters, that they were potentially people to keep an eye on that would be quick. And admittedly, I've run that in a couple of my leagues before. I like it when a reigning champion runs number 1, because I can't stand it when champions would say run number 82 like Tim Perry's wearing here, because you've got no idea of who would the reigning champion be. So I get that, and I enjoy that Cam Dance is going to be number 1 this season. But yeah, I almost forced the numbers to be like that for this season, you know, to have the drivers have to run where they finished last season as this year's number. But no, I'm not going to take that away from them. But I'm glad that the one that matters the most to me in terms of running the right number, Cam Dance, has done that.
Yeah. Same with obviously it's the British Touring Cars. It's Ash Sutton and his 116 that's become the number 1 these last season on that. Really, really nice. I have to say that Napa Ford Focus. What do they call it now? I can't remember what they call them now. The is it the Fiestas or something?
No, it's the
they're
Focus.
running?
It's the Focus.
It's the
and
Focus.
GTC.
Yeah.
And it's
Lovely little
obviously
kit then.
good old Tom Ingram will be running the number 1 this year. With
I love Tingram.
the
I was so happy
i30.
for him.
Oh, I know, and I love that car as well. It's a gorgeous car. Anyone that knows me well enough knows I'm obsessed with Hyundai i30s, or Hyundai i30s, as the advert tells us to say.
Oh God, no! I'm gonna call it Hyundai.
I think it's a Hyundai. I'm glad that we're in agreement. This isn't a Hyundai. This is a Williams, and this is John Roberts, who's another driver that's been supporting my leagues for a very, very long time. And it's great to have John back out on the grid again tonight. He was saying before he wasn't really enjoying the Hungaroring. And oh dearie me, as Crimson
Might not be enjoying Imola.
No, Crimson in the chat making a very good point, saying if you were a true fan, you know exactly who is who and where they finished. Yes, but I like to sort of, if you've jumped in halfway through a season, or you know you just go to the one round, you know who to look for. You know what I mean?
Also, my brain is too small and smooth, and I like watching various different motorsports all at once, and it's very difficult. My brain can't hold all of the information, sadly. It's too smooth, aerodynamic. I can think fast, but not very accurate.
Yeah, you can think quickly, but not accurately.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. Let's have a quick look down our order then. We've got Jake Cranstone at the top at the moment. He is 91 thousandths of a second clear of Silas Kragrolic. Yes, that is his name. Kevin Zemstra next up, then Tim Perry, and Sam Fitzpatrick has just gone 5th fastest ahead of Tom Minot. Tom's been really quick around here, actually. He was a lot further down earlier on. He was saying that he'd like to have another go at the Hungaroring, but I've had to unfortunately decline because it was a simple simple mistake that he made. But he's going away as of tomorrow, so you know he's not got all the time in the world to put behind this for tonight. So we appreciate him jumping in either way. But he has been quick, so it's interesting to see that he's up there now inside the top 10 here at Imola. Behind him we have Sam Bentham, Mike Murphy, Ben Shallcraft, Stuart Clark, then Nico Minardi, Toby Ward, John Roberts, Martin Kenyon, Gilles Gardner and Simon Price. Currently the slowest time on the board at the moment, as Stuart Clark has had an off at Tamburello. Very easy to do that. As across the line.
Look actually at Cranston, his last lap. I think his last lap was a 41.27 again, similar to, pretty much identical to his whole time. It's Craig Frolic. Wow, that is a stonking lap time.
That is a
well
statement.
over 0.3 of a second. Ooh, that is more than a statement. I don't know what that'd be. Cease and desist, I think, to Cranston and his attempts to try and pick
restraining
back
order.
that top spot.
Yeah. Wow. That is phenomenal by Silas Kragrolic, 140.9. And, you know, these cars don't have all the power in the world. I think they're only about 130, 160 horsepower. But obviously they rev like mad. And obviously they don't weigh anything, but their top end, I think top speed is going to be about 140 miles an hour throughout this season. So they're very quick and they've got a lot of the acceleration and high-speed handling capabilities, but when it comes to top end, they really don't do as much speed as you would expect a car like this to, with the way it looks. So lap times are pretty long, to be fair, around most circuits here. We're nearly 1 3/4 minutes around Imola. Wow, look at that slide by Silas, really pushing on. there's not really any other improvements coming in at the moment. Toby Ward was improving, but that was the most instantaneous commentator's curse I think I've ever given. And to be fair, one thing I will tell you all, everybody, having Ed May in the commentary box this season is a scary, scary prospect for our drivers, because I've never known any other commentator have such a powerful commentator's curse as Ed. He can think somebody's name and they will have an accident.
Yeah, I'll have to try and be on my best behaviour this season. I can't guarantee it because I know what I'm like, you see. As soon as I try and keep myself out of predicting anything, sometimes it's dangerous because they can come from like a sort of reverse Murray Walker in the fact that he used to make prophecies that immediately turned out to be false. I'm almost the opposite.
Yeah, I'm not in a status of any kind to make prophecies of any sort, so I just tend to just say what I see. And what I
waffle on.
Yes. Oh yeah, I can do that until the cows come home. What I can see right now though is Cam Dance, reigning CDM Boremula 1 World Champion, not putting a valid time on the board. He's done 5 laps now, and he hasn't put a lap on there. As Kenjo is now in the Twitch chat as well, saying let's go Minardi Simsport. Crimson says if you race it, circuit superstars will come. They will. Great to see you all. Honestly, thank you for the support, and yes, I'm sure the Minardi Simsport guys will love your support as well. It's great to have them in the championship. They've been really supportive of it. We've got the 3 of them just in the middle of the pack there. Murphy, Shellcraft and Minardi, 9th, 10th and 12th. They've been doing a solid job in what is a really difficult car to drive. We ride on board now though with our reigning champion. Cam Dance won 6 of the first 7 races last season. I think actually he won the first 7 races. Let me just go back and I'll have a look at the results and let you know. He's just about to come to the line though, to hopefully for his sake put the first time on the board. And there you go, 3rd fastest for Cam Dance. Great stuff. Good to see him finally get that time on there. Just to let you know how dominant Cam Dance was last season. There was 13 races last season. No driver except Cam won more than 1, and Cam won 8 races. Cam won the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First 5 races in a row. Then he had 2 races off where he finished 2nd and 5th, and then he won 2 in a row. And I think he won the last couple as well. Yeah, he won the last round in Japan to really seal the championship. So 8 race victories for Cam, won the first 5 on the trot and then finished 2nd in the 6th race. Just shows you how dominant he is. Kenjo saying
Chaz, I think
sorry, go
you're
on.
having an appeal to your good side from Toby Ward, who's somehow been disqualified from this session.
Oh.
And is asking if there's any way that he can be disqualified.
Well,
which I don't know what he's done to warrant disqualification, to be honest.
You have been made an admin of the session, Ed, if you are able to do
have
so.
I?
Yes.
Oh, let's have a look.
Because I knew that one of these idiots would do this tonight, and it was probably going to be Toby, because he's the one that always tries to push me buttons.
Oh, I have so much power I could remove him from the race, but no, I will be good.
Zemstra's gone 2nd fastest, by the way, which could be quite pivotal between himself, Crag Vrolik and Cranstone, because they're definitely the 3 that are the top of the pack at the moment. And I really look forward to seeing how their sort of rivalry goes on this season. We've got 8.5 minutes left to go here at Imola. And the cars continue to whiz around this circuit. I'm wondering if we can see... No, because they're on lone qualifying sessions, you don't get to see all the cars on the track map at once, which is a big shame. But still. Toby saying oi in the YouTube chat. Sorry, Toby, I love you, really. Honestly, Toby's been such a great supporter of my leagues and championships, and he's been really helpful in just giving advice on certain elements of it, or just giving a look at, leagues and how to work with them as a driver, because obviously I spend all my time as an organizer now, really, and obviously doing the broadcast and the commentary instead of doing the racing side of things. So as a customer as such, and as a driver, I don't get to see that angle of things as much, and sometimes the interest of the drivers are different to what I think they may be. And yeah, Toby's one of the guys that really does help out with that sort of thing, and he's been very, very good with it. Sam Fitzpatrick just did a purple sector on that lap and goes up to 4th fastest, ahead of Cam Dance. He will be really chuffed with that, will Sam? Very chuffed indeed, wow.
There's some really quick times coming through now, but it doesn't appear that the circuit's getting any cooler. If anything, it might be getting a little bit warmer because the sun's been beating down for quite a while now, and actually CLS Crag Frolic is going faster in the first sector. He's currently on a flying lap with a purple to his name, and this is going to be a very spicy lap if he can put it all together. It was very slow in the third sector last time around and sort of ramped it back a little bit, so maybe to cool the tyres down and recycle them back into the optimal window, because he is pushing very hard. Look at that, so close to the grass through Aqua Minerale. Blink and you'll miss it. He's rising back up again in towards tricky little chicane now, sending it through, taking a lot of the curb on the first part, not so much on the exit to get on the power nice and early. Power's way down now towards the crucial final 2 real corners of this circuit now. Sort of break it a little bit early, trail it in, turn in nice and early, cut the inside, again use the curb on the exit, cut the inside as well, get on the power nice and early. That was almost inch perfect there from the CLS Crag Frolic. He's making his way up to the line now. What will it be as he breaks the timing beam? Will it be an improvement to further cement his place? Yes, it is a brilliant lap, and you can just tell through that final sector it was going to be a good one, because that was the perfect way to take those last 2 corners. Just the right amount of curve to take to cut it through, but without unsettling the car, as he's just done into the first sector.
Yeah, great stuff that by CLS Crag Frolic, and Jake Cranstone went up to second as well while he was doing that, so there's been even further movement up there. There's Stuart Clark dragging around what's left of the front of his car. He's had a big hit into one of the curbs there. Kenjo saying that the Minardi SimSport liveries look amazing too. They absolutely do. Oh, Stuart's had some big damage actually. He's got the entire side pod missing on the left. I was going to punish some of the drivers with that sort of thing actually, because you can paint underneath that side pod. So I was going to put some funny messages underneath them on the actual liveries for the cars, because if anyone damages the car that much, you shouldn't see that part of the car, so keep your eye out for that over the course of the season. Yeah, the Minardi SimSport liveries do look stunning. Unfortunately, this is the only time we will be seeing them this season, these 3 cars. It's great to see it, though, because it does look like a big caricature of the Circuit Superstars machines, doesn't it? It really is cool. But obviously the point of this pre-season testing, for anybody that's only just joined, is to determine over the course of the 3 sessions tonight, it's like a mini championship based on their qualifying times, and it sets the field and the sort of overall pace that we've got for the season ahead to know what cars people are going to be driving, because we want to apply the liveries to their cars, because we set the liveries in the Formula 1 World Championship. We want to make sure they're wearing liveries that reflect their pace, basically. So we get your McLarens, Ferraris, Williams at the front of the field, and you get your Minardis, your Tyrrells, and all sorts at the back of the pack as well. So it remains realistic. Anyone that watches the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship needs to go and check Imola actually last season as well, because the grid there really did look like the Imola grid from 1997, and it was beautiful to look at. This is John Roberts in another beautiful to look at machine. He's obviously running the old 90s Williams livery, or the early 90s I should say, because Williams had a lot of them in the 90s, a lot of different liveries. They were running Rothmans for a few years, from about 1994 I believe it was onwards to 1997. Then they went to the Winfield livery from 98 to 99. Then in 2000 they ran the white compact livery, and from then on it became of course the Williams BMW team, when they had all the white and blue HP branding and compact and all sorts. Not that I know much about Formula 1. Crag Frolic still fastest then at the moment. 3.5 minutes left. Do you think anybody can do much to unsettle that? I mean, Fitzpatrick's on a personal best sector 2, but the rest of the lap hasn't been as quick.
No, it hasn't been. So we're going to see as he comes up to the line. I don't think he will be improving on his previous time. His time being, he does, I think, stay fourth fastest even. In a number 5 car. There are some. I mean, maybe Cranston could find it. I mean, Taylor's Entry's just done a purple first sector, so hang about. We might be seeing an improvement through from the 88 driver, Stuart Clark. I still can't believe he's running that car with that damage.
There's just nothing left on the left-hand side of it. I don't know what he's doing. I really don't. But
weight saving. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he's just getting laps in for the sake of it now. But yes, you're absolutely right. Kevin Zemstrup is on a bit of a mission of a lap here. Martin Kenyon's done a purple sector.
Fitzpatrick's on a mission as well.
Whoa.
That was really nice to Aqua Minerale. You've got to be at that sort of stage where you do think, oh dear, this is a bad one. And you just have to ride out the storm and look after it. That's not so good, though, through that chicane, and I think he's lost a lot of time. He was quick through the third sector, but through sector 4, he's going to lose a little bit too much time. We're going to see. He's still actually improved there, so maybe it's all right. We'll have a look now into the final couple of corners. This is going to be a really crucial lap, this, from Kevin Zemstra. Not as aggressive on the exit curb as Craig Frolic, but again, he's had good times all the way through this lap. Purple sectors abound, personal bests as well as he crosses the line, breaks the time in. He goes fastest by the slimmest of margins. That is a brilliant lap time from Zemstra. Craig Frolic's in the pits. He has no answer back. What can Fitzpatrick do as he crosses the line? He improves, but not enough to get ahead of Cranston. So that looks to me like it will be Kevin Zemstra taking honours as fastest driver in this final pre-qualifying session.
Toby Ward did a purple sector 4. He's now lining up for a lap, or is he? No, because at the end of the day, when the session finishes and it hits 0, it literally finishes on the spot, so you will not get more of a chance. So we need to see those drivers that could potentially upset the lap times at the top. Tim Perry's just coming into the final couple of corners now. He's just gone through the chicane, making his way back down the hill. It's always going to be the Variante Alta chicane for me, but it has got a new name, actually. I can't remember the guy's name. It's like Grastini or something like that, or Grassini. Into Rivazza, first part, nice and tidy. Second part, on the power, hard on the exit, doesn't attack the curb too much. John Roberts done a personal best. There's only 37 seconds left now, so it doesn't mean that Tim's going to be able to do another lap. This is going to be his final lap in pre-season testing, and I don't think it's going to be enough to improve much. He does improve a position, though. Goes ahead of Cam Dance. Great stuff. Great stuff indeed. John Roberts round the final corner. 20 seconds to go, right at the death. Can he grab himself a couple more positions here in pre-season testing for the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship by F1Countdown.com? Is he going to do it? Listen to that branding. I've nailed it. John Roberts crosses the line and does not improve by the look of it. 3, 2, 1, and that is going to be it. Ben Chalcraft is not going to get his time done, and that is all we have time for in the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship by F1Countdown.com pre-season testing. We'll have a look at the final results of that session. And for the second time tonight, Kevin Zemstra takes the win. Very well done indeed. 8 thousandths of a second over Silas Craig Frolic. Amazing stuff. Jake Cranstone in third. Those three will be in for one hell of a season, I can tell you that for free. Sam Fitzpatrick up there in fourth. What a great time that is by Sam. Very well done indeed. Tim Perry up there in fifth as well, ahead of reigning champion Cam Dance. Cam's going to be thinking either a Ferrari or a Williams based on what we've seen there. Maybe even a Jordan as well. Ben Hoffman in 7th place. He'll be pretty happy with that, will Ben, but he had a much better pre-season testing for 1997. Sam Bantham, I don't think he'll be too chuffed with 8th place, to be fair, but it's so tightly packed up there, it's hard to guess who's going to be where. Tom Minot is next up in 9th place. He'll be pleased with that one, ahead of Ben Chalcraft in 10th, the head of the Circuit Superstar trio in that one. Mike Murphy finishes 11th, ahead of Stuart Clark. Then Nico Minardi just behind in 13th. Martin Kenyon in 14th place, followed by Toby Ward in 15th position. John Roberts was next up, ahead of Gilles Gardner. And then Simon Price was the last car in the pile. Well, unfortunately, Ed, I do have to shoot off very quickly because I have work this evening at 11 p.m, as is the glamour of this. But we've had a fantastic night of it, haven't we, here on Chaz Draycott Media for the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship by F1Countdown.com, sponsored by Sim Racing Magazine. I've got to make sure I practice that. That's why I'm doing this now. What a great night, though. A fantastically shaped championship already. We've still got a few drivers. I mean, some of the drivers in that list are very, very important going forward. I mean, look at Pete Harrod, for example. He's going to be one of the drivers that's right up there. Jack Stiles is going to be at the sharp end of things too. I'm excited to see how those remaining drivers get on. Tom Minot will need to complete a few more sessions too. And then we've got Rob Lundgren also. He could be a spoiler in the pack. So still a lot to look forward to, isn't there, before the first round of the season?
Yeah, exactly. We might need to work on renaming the championship because Boremula 1 is not really accurate at all. It's been far from boring. It's been awe-inspiring, to be fair, all throughout tonight. We've had some very close, late, dramatic finishes to pretty much all of the pre-qualifying sessions. And, well, if anything is to go by from the sessions, well, I mean, the season is going to be an absolute belter, really living up to the excitement and drama that we saw from Season 1, that's for certain.
Yeah, definitely. It will be a hell of a lot of fun. And of course, I hope that you will join us for each and every round of the championship, everybody. We've certainly had a good time of it here tonight. But looking at your calendars, well, you need to prepare for the 3rd of May because the Boremula 1 Australian Boar Prix from Winton, yes, really, will be the first round of the championship in just 2 weeks' time. We're going to work with the drivers to, of course, get things figured out before then so we can get some more testing in and see where they slot in, and look between now and then for a stream or some announcements for which of your favourite drivers will be driving which car. But that's all from me, Chaz Draycott, and the wonderful Ed May. Thanks for jumping in, Ed. It's great stuff to work with you again, and I look forward to the season ahead. But that's all from both of us here tonight on Chaz Draycott Media. Hope you've enjoyed yourself, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll see you again soon.
4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and
But
Pouget.
before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1200 horsepower brake. Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you've been loved and a terrific show out. Dan Gregory now, I love this. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.